Breaking news overnight, Pope Benedict XVI has died. How the former head pontiff of the Catholic Church is being remembered this morning. Colorado doing away with the TriCounty Health Department today. The long lead up to Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas counties dissolving the agency. And what's next? Time is running out on 2022. We've got a preview of New Year's Eve celebrations happening around the world and right here in Colorado. Plus, a look back at some of this year's top stories and the best way to prepare for 2023.
Good morning. Welcome to Denver 7 News. I'm Jessica Crawford. Happy New Year's Eve.
Yes, and I'm Katie LaSalle. Thank you so much for joining us to round out 2022. Let's start with some stories we're following for you this holiday weekend. The Mile High Tree in Civic Center Park is closed. Taking a live look there now, the recent winter storm had caused, quote, unforeseen issues, so the tree is shut down for the year. That includes the New Year's Eve celebration that was originally planned there tonight.
But don't worry, there are plenty of other ways to ring in 2023 in Denver this evening, and that includes 2 fireworks shows downtown at 9 and at midnight. The 16th Street Mall has some of the best spots to view those shows. Each one will run for about 8 minutes and is synced to music.
A lot going on. Plus, the Denver Zoo is offering a special neurodiverse experience tonight from 5 until 9 p.m. Zoo officials say Zoo Lights, it's usually an electrifying night filled with dazzling colors that can be overwhelming for some people. So the Denver Zoo designed a special time for people with autism or sensory processing disorder to enjoy this event this New Year's Eve. And let's talk about the weather, taking a live look for you right now over downtown Denver. We're experiencing a little cloud coverage, but we are going to be seeing some warmer temperatures filter into the metro area and a lot more mountain snow this weekend. Temperatures currently are in the high 20s, low 30s, so you will still find some icy spots and slushy roadways out there that haven't been treated. Most of our major thoroughfares are running just fine at this time, but you can see a pretty active radar and satellite picture. Off to the west, we're experiencing snow up into Estes Park and moving into the I-70 corridor. And across the northeastern plains, a rain-snow mix currently from Sterling on the I-76 corridor out to the border. Temperatures elsewhere were in the 20s and 30s into many of our mountain towns, so not quite as cold early on, and it will be milder this afternoon. Daytime highs in the upper 40s to low 50s, and if you do have any New Year's Eve plans for this evening, it's going to be snow for Colorado's high country, mild and dry across the plains.
Former Pope Benedict XVI has died at his Vatican residence at the age of 95. Here is a live look at the Vatican right now. Benedict led the Catholic Church for fewer than 8 years until 2013. That's when he became the first pope to resign since 1415.
He spent his final years at the Mater Ecclesia, the monastery with walls to the Vatican. ABC's Inez de la Cuetara has more.
It's not just his papacy, but the way it ended, defining Pope Benedict XVI's legacy. In February 2013, Benedict became the first pope in 600 years to resign. He cited his advanced age and failing health, stepping aside as Pope Francis was elected, and Benedict became the first Pope Emeritus in modern history, living out his final years in a former monastery on the Vatican grounds, at times joining Pope Francis at major church events. He was born in Germany in 1927 as Joseph Ratzinger. Shortly after he turned 14, he, like most young Germans at the time, was forced to join the Hitler Youth, but he was not a willing participant. When he returned to Germany as pontiff, he became only the second pope in history to visit a synagogue. He was elected pontiff on April 19, 2005 to fill the vacancy left by Pope John Paul II. He chose the name Benedict XVI. He had been known as God's Rottweiler, an unyielding conservative and guardian of traditional Catholic values, but he soon surprised his skeptics, showing his gentler side. Benedict never veered far from his conservative beliefs. He condemned gay marriage, the ordination of women, and allowing priests to marry. He also addressed the sex abuse crisis within the Catholic Church, meeting privately with victims of pedophile priests during his trip to the U.S. in 2008.
No words of mine could describe the pain and harm inflicted by such abuse.
But some say that scandal, the Pope seemed unable to put to rest, eventually played a role in his resignation, his retirement shaking up the Vatican, securing his place in history. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Paris.
And the Vatican says Pope Francis will celebrate the funeral for Pope Benedict XVI on Thursday in St. Peter's Square.
This comes after the death of legendary newswoman Barbara Walters at 93 years old. A television icon, she was a trailblazer as the first woman to anchor on network television. Her career spanned 5 decades. Walter joined ABC News back in 1976. 3 years later, she became the host of 2020, and in 1997, she launched The View. Locally, the TriCounty Health Department officially dissolves today. This is after decades in operation.
Denver 7's Brandon Richard is live for us with the next steps for the 3 counties the health department serves. Brandon.
Well, this is going to mean a big change for the people who live in the 3 counties that make up the TriCounty Health Department. Each of those counties will now have its very own health department. After 75 years, the TriCounty Health Department will officially dissolve tonight at midnight and be no more. Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas counties each going their separate ways, creating their own health departments. Now, over the past several months, each county has been getting ready and trying to make sure that everything is in place so their health department can be operational on January 1st. That includes hiring staff, figuring out budgets, and developing health programs to address everything from restaurant inspections to disease prevention. For instance, Arapahoe County approved a budget of $21 million for its new health department. It also created a 5-member foundational board of health, which will oversee the new department. That board also hired a public health director. Now, we know that many of the employees of the TriCounty Health Department will also be employed by one of these 3 new county health departments, and even though they didn't have a lot of time to get these new health departments up off the ground, we're told that each health department will be able to operate after the New Year holiday. We're live in Greenwood Village this morning. Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
Brandon, thank you. Aurora police vowing to crack down on folks who ring in the new year by shooting off their guns. The department is going to deploy units to specifically find and arrest people shooting off celebratory gunshots.
What goes up must come down, and anyone that's discharging a firearm in this city this New Year's Eve, just know that if someone gets injured, someone gets killed, you're going to go to state prison. And just the act of discharging the firearm is going to get you behind bars.
The CDC says when bullets are fired into the air, they can return to the ground as fast as 200 feet per second. That's fast enough to end a life.
President Joe Biden granted full pardons to 6 people, giving them a new start in the new year ahead. Each of the individuals had already completed the sentences for their offenses, which include drug-related crimes and second-degree murder. All have become active in their communities following their release.
2022 was an intense year for politics. The Supreme Court changing abortion laws. The midterm elections saw Republicans take back the House and Democrats hold on to the Senate.
Not to mention bills involving gun safety, climate change, prescription drugs, and computer chips all passed through Congress. So what will 2023 bring? Our political correspondent Joe St. George has a new year, new Congress preview.
The sounds and sights of a changing year. Goodbye, 2022. Hello, 23. Before you head to your New Year's party, remember, politics is going to look a lot different in 2023. There will be more gridlock, more uncertainty, and a whole lot of 2024 announcements. Well, if you find a bunch of political fortune cookies at your New Year's party, there's a good chance if you open one political prediction would be fewer major bills from Congress. That's because Republicans control the House starting Tuesday. Democrats will keep control of the Senate. Leaders may be able to pass their own priorities in their own chambers, but once a bill reaches the other, it may not even get a vote. If there's any one political issue that's poised to face more scrutiny from Congress next year, it's the border. Republicans are vowing to make it the first bill they pass in the House. Democrats want a deal to provide legal protections for immigrants already here. What does the next political fortune cookie bring? Well, a big decision from President Biden. While the president has repeatedly said he plans on running for re-election in 2024, he's yet to make it official. One reason? Well, if you ask political observers, the only reason he would even contemplate not running is his age. On Inauguration Day in 2025, Mr. Biden would be 82 if he runs and wins. He would be 86 at the end of a hypothetical second term. Political prediction number 3, Republican challengers to Donald Trump. The former president has already launched his 2024 campaign, but it doesn't appear his announcement will clear the field. Big decisions are expected soon from Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis, Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, former Vice President Mike Pence, and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And the last fortune cookie reveals an obvious prediction. The Supreme Court will continue to play a major role in our country. Several high-profile opinions will be issued in 2023. Justices will decide how much race should play in college admissions, and they'll decide the future of President Biden's student loan program. Oral arguments in that case are slated for the end of February. Happy New Year. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Well, now that it's the end of the year, so many of us have forgotten everything that's happened over the past 365 days. A review of the most notable moments in entertainment during 2022.